This is the 77th episode of the Effective Executive podcast and YouTube channel. And this will probably be a relatively short episode, but I've titled it Beware the Gladhanders and the Sycophants. And before I get into that, I just want to do kind of a shout out to the Ukraine. And in the messaging of John F. Kennedy, ich bin ein Berliner, ja Ukrainets, which means I am a Ukrainian. And the reason I say this is I'm not necessarily by genealogy, but I am by virtue of my podcast in the Ukraine has varied from being in the top 20 and has maintained being in the top 75 in Ukraine for over a year now. And so our local representative is from the Ukraine in the House of Representatives, Victoria Spart. And so my heart and thoughts go to Ukraine, and I'm hoping that we'll get smarter about these things, where we can be more proactive rather than reactive as far as a government goes. But anyway, this week I wanted to talk about, because I have watched a lot of films about authoritarian regimes, going back to the Third Reich. You had Goebbels and Goering and a number of other sycophants and in Germany at the time in the 30s and 40s, 1930s and 40s. And it got me thinking about some of the things that I've seen in organizations that people need to look out for. And bad leadership typically has big egos. They seek praise from their people. They perpetuate this kind of air of, I'm really good, as opposed to looking for problems within their organization. And no one likes bad news, and I understand that. But as a leader, as someone that wants to be an effective executive, you're going to need to seek it out in your organization, because if you're not actually seeing what's going on and listening to what's happening in your organization, a lot of times you're going to get people who are going to manipulate data. Funny, true story, there was a company that I worked with that had the sunshine report. I mean, you can't make it up. I mean, in essence, they didn't want to hear any bad news. Just tell me what's great in your part of the organization. Anyway, you have to seek it out. You have to see what actually is happening versus what you're being told. Does it match up? And I think that the underlying philosophy needs to be that there's always a better way of doing something. And many times in engagements with even CEOs, what I find is they hire you in or hire me in, and what they want is praise and reinforcement that what they're doing is right. And anyone that knows me will know that they will not get praise and reinforcement with me unless it's earned by virtue of making changes within an organization. And so, I hang my hat on the fact that I'm a contrarian with regards to that. You will not get a lot of praise and reinforcement unless it's earned. And your existing system, if you're bringing me in, it's something that you have to have the mindset of, I'm looking for new ideas, new ways of doing things, as opposed to just pat me on the back and do those types of things. So a lot of times nowadays I just have a contract up front with executives or even the CEOs of organizations, where it's just basically up front, I'm going to tell them, in a month or two, maybe longer, you're going to get tired of me showing you different things that are wrong with your organization. And so if that's going to be a problem, maybe we shouldn't start. And I think that's kind of the mindset you have to go into some of these things with, because I can't help anybody that just thinks that what they're doing is the best way. There's always a better way of doing something. Now, things have changed over the years, and I believe that the people within your organization are the ones that need to make the changes to the organization, because then you get total buy-in from people, and I think that's important. It's one of those things that if you come in with the mindset that I have the best way, only I can come up with the right way to do something, I think you completely miss the boat as an executive. You have theories, you have ideas, but so do the people that are in the organization. And especially if you're new to the organization, you need to understand. And actually, the next podcast or next episode I plan on doing is going to cover that particular piece. So my message this week is, you need to seek the contrarians within your organization. You need to see what's going on, actually what reality is versus what you're being told. And there is often a wide gap. The larger the organization, the wider the gap is. And, improvement and innovation require new thinking and people who see things in much different ways. Seek them out as opposed to try to get rid of them, in the organization. When you have an organization full of people who all think the same way, then you have issues. Now, it can be done respectfully, and that's something that get borderline. Some people get frustrated, and maybe the respect goes out the window because I'm saying this over and over again. But oftentimes it's just they see things differently, and because the way that you're doing things today and the fact that there is a better way, people do get frustrated with trying to send a message or talk to people and get nowhere. So anyway, that's it. Beware the Gladhanders and the Sycophants. In your organization, they do only want to tell you what's going on, only the good news, because everybody loves good news. But you need to be an effective executive. You really need to seek out bad news and seek out reality, really, in your organization. And I do that by virtue of that's how you study an organization. And if you've got new thinking, then that comes from it, which you will get. Then you can utilize that as theories to try out within your organization. That's what I wanted to cover this week. Catch you next week.